Hello, my loves, and welcome to another video. A really short one today, and you can see I'm quite relaxed today. I've got to go see my personal trainer today, and I just didn't want to dress up. So, anyway, let me talk about old thinking versus new thinking and breaking habits and why this is a topic today. I am staring down the barrel of change in such a big way as we get ready to move into 2026. And as I have built something, the engine is now running. I'll get into the details in a minute, but essentially, it's requiring me to operate in an entirely new way. And of course, when we are creating big change in our life, it can feel very uncomfortable. And there has been some discomfort for sure, but I'm also starting to reap the rewards of the inner work that I've been doing over the last couple of years. It's very, very evident that I have laid some incredible foundations. And, I wish these things happen faster, but sometimes they don't, right? Things just need time. So instead of being cryptic, let me talk about it. So the podcast Millionaire is my core offer at the moment. And over the last 5 months, I've been building this baby and testing it and trialing it and getting it perfect before I could start to scale it. And so what that's meant is building a team and making sure each of those team members is trained up and ready to go and to the right standard. And it's also been developing the back end of the product to make sure that I can deliver what I say I'm going to be able to deliver. And so that's taken a little bit of time because I've needed to satisfy myself that if I'm selling something, we can deliver. And so it has taken a little bit of time, and sometimes there have been delays and things like that. But it's all been pretty smooth actually, because I was very clear about what it is that I wanted and how I wanted it to be. And as I was building it, I was also conscious of this idea that there's going to be a point where you get to stand back and take your hands off it and let the team do the job. And in the past, this is where I would typically get myself into trouble because I have had a lot of challenges around creating space in my life and then being comfortable with that space. So typically I've built systems and got my business running in a certain way. And then I've had this tendency to want to go break something so I can fix it or launch something new or just expend a lot of energy that I didn't need to expend because I was uncomfortable with having that space. And over the last 18 months, I have expanded my capacity for space and receiving and all of the things. And now I'm actually seeing, as of Monday, my ads for this massive campaign have kicked off. And I'm actually seeing that it has all paid off, as I just said. So on Monday, I had my ad campaign officially start. And so what that did is, what that triggers, what that signals is that my job is done. I've built it. Everybody has everything that they need to be able to carry out their jobs. And my job is just to serve my clients as they come into the inner circle as part of the Podcast Millionaire package. And that's it. I've got somebody to onboard the clients. I've got my team that are running the sales calls. I've got my team that are running the ads. I've got my person that is, or my team that is running the podcast promotion. The sales process is taken care of. And when I clicked go, or when I gave the green light to my ads person and said, yep, the campaign's ready to go, I had a moment where it's like, well, now what am I going to do? And I wanted to fill the void. I wanted to fill this void with another project that I've got sitting there waiting. And it's like, I'll just throw myself into that and then I'll let that do its thing. And then I can essentially be distracted from it. Because in the old thinking, I wanted to micromanage every single piece of it. I wanted to be in the ads dashboard, checking the data. I wanted to be reaching out to the sales team. Hey, what are the calls like? What's the conversion rate? What's happening? What's happening? And I know myself very, very well. And one of the things that I knew I had to make a decision around was, who do I want to be in this situation, in this scenario? Who do I want to be in during this phase? And I didn't want to be the person that distracted themselves by throwing themselves into another project because they were uncomfortable with the waiting and not having to do anything. I didn't want to be the person that was micromanaging my team and sticking my beak in where they don't need me, because I trust them. They're trained up. Everything is good to go. I don't need to be in there interfering. And so I'm having to think very, very differently. And one of the thoughts that came up for me this morning, or this week actually, I've been really sitting with it all week, is, as I say, I have this other project that's sitting there waiting to go that's very exciting. And there's no reason for me not to throw myself into that. But I also want to challenge myself. This year has been a year of doing things differently and achieving different outcomes. I also wanted to look at like the small decisions that I was making, the ways that I was behaving, the ways that I have been thinking, and where I'm still being pulled back. And it's like, I could go and throw myself into that project. Why not? Like, it's exciting. It's not like it's, it feels like it's hard or wrong. But I'm also conscious that, it's coming up to, we're a week away from Christmas essentially, and we've got the new year coming up. My inner circle is going to be paused for a couple of weeks. And it's like, why don't we just enjoy 2 weeks without thinking about building something, creating something? It's been interesting and I'm here for it. I made the decision that I'm going to do that. And so I've got lunch dates booked with some friends. I've got a few different things coming up that are going to keep me focused on life instead of business, which is how it needed to be. So I'm thinking very differently. And it's one of those things where I could be pulled back in if I wanted to, but my mind is very trained now in recognizing those old patterns and then making decisions about, is this a pattern that we want to continue? Why is this pattern in place? What purpose has it served? And does it still have a place now? And so there's this bit of distance in between an impulsive, or not impulsive, but like an old pattern, and me making a decision, discerning where this fits as I move into 2026, leaving behind the parts of me that are complete. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at. And so there are many, many things that are happening in my life right now where I'm thinking very differently about things. One of the things that I've spoken with you about in the past is my leukemia, chronic lymphocytic leukemia. I had an appointment with my specialist yesterday, and typically, so that means I had my blood test last week. So typically I have my blood tests and I have a moment where I'm really super conscious of how I'm feeling, wondering if that's going to reflect in the results. So if I haven't been feeling great, I can get in my head a little bit, and then I go to the specialist and I sit there and I usually end up in tears, whether it's good news or whatever, right? It's just I've worked myself up into a state that I'm emotional. And this time, not at all. This time I had the blood test, kind of forgot about it. I was focused on other things, went and saw my specialist yesterday. We're good. Like, I don't require treatment yet. I've got some lymph nodes that are coming up, so I'm going to have to go get a body scan just to keep a track on those. But it's like cool, now I know where we're at. I've got to go get this test. I'll book it in, and then I won't think about it for 3 months until I go and see my specialist again. But I'm getting better at thinking differently about that. And again, it was like as the week for the blood test came up, it's like, oh, remember when you used to get really kind of freaked out about this? And how do we want to be in this right now? How do we want to be? And it's like it's no big deal. Like it's just more information. And so I behaved very differently. I thought very differently. And my capacity for just taking it in my stride has improved. And I whatever happens in the future happens, right? I can only control my thoughts and feelings around what's happening right now. And I'm always prepared for anything. I'm always prepared that, we might need to change something and take some action or whatever. But I'm not going there with the expectation that today might be the day. I just don't think like that anymore. And so when I sit here today and look at where I am based on where I was last year, so much has shifted and it has come down to the ways that I was thinking about things. And that is, I guess, I want to say secondary, but I think it's in tandem with the identity shift that I have made and knowing that my thinking is tied in with it. And as I sit here thinking about it now, I can't think, did the identity come first and then the thinking, or did the thinking start and then the identity was adopted? I can't even remember, but I know they're very, very closely tied. And if I'm challenged now, I get to ask myself questions like, well, the version of who you are now. Is this thinking a product of her or old thinking? And I'm able to make those adjustments very, very quickly and move on. And it's been a game changer for me. And so if you're sitting there and you're in business and you are, maybe having a season in your business where it feels really challenging and you feel very tempted to get in there and change strategy, to launch something new, to whatever it is, right? I want to encourage you, like there's nothing wrong with that, but I want to encourage you to think about you before you think about anything else. I want you to think about your potential and your ability to fulfill that potential based on the identity you have now and the one you want to have. And then knowing that you get to choose that. And then it's in those micro decisions, it's in those, the thinking and catching yourself when you're thinking in the old ways and getting to shift that and move on. It's one of those things that 18 months ago felt very challenging for me, but is now part of the process, and I barely even need to think about it anymore. And I'm so proud of how far I've come with regards to all of that, because this has been something incredibly different for me. Normally it is about the products, it's about the strategy, it's about the whatever, right? And this year has been about me. It's all been about me, and it's been the game changer. So everything that you create is going to be created from the identity you have right now. Is that what you want or not? And if it's not, what is the identity that you want to step into? And a really great question that you get to ask yourself as you navigate through and you feel those growing pains is that question that I ask myself: how do I want to be in this? How do I want to show up in this particular circumstance or phase or whatever it is? And then you get to make decisions about how you move forward and be really strict with yourself, and also give yourself grace. Like, you can't flip your identity and become a whole new person and not be pulled back to the old in 5 minutes. It's going to take some time, but just trust that if you move in the direction of what it is that you want and how you want it to be and how you get to be in that, the more you do that, the less the old you will be pulling. And there's nothing wrong with the old you, right? That person got you here, and there are going to be parts of you that are always parts of you. But we're talking about the parts that are growth focused. For me, I feel like for the first time in probably a couple of years, I feel like I'm moving towards fulfilling my potential. I've really cruised over the last few years and I haven't felt like there's been a lot of growth. There has been so much growth this year, and suddenly I'm able to see the potential and I feel like I'm moving into that potential and it feels quite easy. And that's because I've done the work, I've done that inner work, I've done the healing, I've done the reparenting myself, I've done the releasing things and choosing new beliefs and all of the parts of me that needed to be evolved so that I could step into the vision that I carry for my business moving forward. So, what are the, I guess, thoughts that you have, those recurring thoughts that are keeping you stuck? What are those thoughts? One of those thoughts for me was when somebody was taking care of a launch for me was, I need to get in there. I don't know that they're doing it right. And then I'm looking for evidence, right? So my ads are running and the ad spend is increasing day by day. And I'm seeing a lot of people are liking and sharing and commenting, and that's great. But I'm also seeing a subsection of the audience that isn't my ideal audience. So old me would have gone, I need to just check in that she's got the audience right because some of these outliers are coming in and I just need to make sure. That's old me. That was my old thinking. New thinking is I trust her. I know that this is part of the process. There is no need for me to interfere or question her ability to deliver an outcome because I trust her. I hired her based on that trust. So I'm going to move on with my life. And every time I do that, it's a step further and further and further away from that old thinking that was keeping me operating at a certain level. Now I make that decision and I turn my attention to where I'm going. And it's like, this person isn't going to be bothered by this. So we're not going to bother about it now. Anyway, I think you get what I think you're picking up what I'm putting down. I think that's all I need to say for today. I will see you next week. Next week, I want to, my ponytail's a bit buffy. Next week, I'm going to do an update for you on my HRT, on the retatrutide that I've been taking, a lot of health stuff. I'm feeling pretty good and I'm not going to give too much away, but I'm going to speak with you about that next week. So if you're interested in kind of the health side of things, that HRT and the GLPs and all that sort of stuff, I'm going to talk with you about that next week. All right, that is it. I will see you then. Bye.